Welcome back here, everyone. I am excited for this one. Finally getting a chance to do my review for Isom number 1. I got my copy of Isom at the end of October. So I didn't get to read it immediately, other things to do, other stuff. So I've been kind of back and forth, but I sat down and I read it 3 times actually, just to make sure I got everything that I needed done with it and all of that, so I know exactly what it is I'm going to do. So I just want to point out a few things before I begin. First off, I want to say that the Isom fulfillment period from Ripperverse has officially ended. It ended on Monday, right? So it's official now. Isom has been officially, all copies that were ordered from the Ripperverse have officially shipped out. I received my copy, and I must say that it's a beautifully done book. The artwork is fantastic. The paper for it feels good and authentic. It is really, really well done. And for all the people who were saying that, there is no Isom number 1 and that Eric July just grifting and he going and steal people money and they don't have anything out there and it's a lie. I haven't heard any of them say anything after that, because now people have been receiving the Isom number 1, and that is, it shows that he actually was doing something. He made a ton of money doing it. I mean, I believe he made over $3.7 million for this for just the Isom number 1 campaign. So it's really, really well done. The story is written by Eric July. The pencil and ink is done by Cliff Richards. The color work is done by Gabe El Taib. The letterer is Eric Weathers. So these are people who have been in the industry for some years. They are well known, and they have put in a lot of work into this book. Secondly, I want to say this is not going to be a page-by-page review of anything, because I believe that Eric July is selling this and people should buy it if they choose to buy it. I'm not going to do a page-by-page and show all of this and talk about that. No. I'm going to give you a breakdown of what I have seen, what I think is good and not so good and bad about it, and then I'm going to give my final review. Now, first off, before I even dive into that, as I said before, I must talk about how beautifully done the comic is. Right? The quality of the paper has to be spoken about. It actually feels authentic, not like what you're getting with some of them now. Yes, it is 96 pages, and for the quality you're getting, it's really well done. The coloring, the lettering, everything looks and feels very authentic. Also, I think it's important to mention that he put out in the book a set of rules that they have to follow as the people doing this into the Ripperverse. That is extremely important. He made it very clear: no alternate universes, no time travel. That any time that they have to do any kind of relaunch or anything, it will always follow in the same genre that it is being done in right now. Once you have your copy of a number 1, it is yours. It is authentic, and this is you're now owning a part of history, and I think that is extremely, extremely important. Now let me get into the story and what it is I have to think about it. Now, the story begins by giving you a brief world building of the city of Flores Park in Texas, right? You get a brief understanding of what's happening in the city, that there are people in the city with special abilities called Isoms, and that there is also, it sets up to let you know that, listen, this is an actual city that they're building on. It doesn't start off in no grand galactic style. It starts off down home, and it gives room to build, and I think that's really, really important. And the way it's structured is actually done pretty nicely. You just get a brief tease of what it is going on with the city, some of the city officials, and one than the other, so you have an idea to build on. Now, when we get introduced to Avery Silman, who was basically an entry-level hero known as Isom, but he hung up that, and he's living at he's now a rancher at a farm on the outskirts of the city. He has some people working there, and you quickly get to understand that there is a story surrounding the people who work for Avery. There's a story surrounding the ranch. It is there. It's just basically teased, but it lets you know that there is something to build on from here. Now, the whole thing with Avery is that he apparently wants to just continue doing what he's doing on his ranch and be left alone. But when his sister Altona gives him a call and lets him know that this old friend, of theirs, is in trouble, because apparently it's this young girl and her mother knows their parents and knows them. So she wants Avery to visit this Darren Fontaine or something. So I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's basically this. He was this guy that Avery went to school with. He's now a shot caller. He's basically just your up and coming kind of crime lord then, right? It's an up and coming kind of crime lord. And the problem I will talk about in regards to this story, and it's kind of a problem, but it also kind of works. Hear what I mean? There are few too many moving parts in this story. Now I understand what Eric July is trying to do. He's using this book to introduce people to a new breed of characters and all of this stuff, to give you some kind of intro into what's happening and go from it. But I think he was a little too ambitious in trying to incorporate a little too much into the story. Like I said, there's a bunch of moving parts in the story. As we get into the story and we see what's happening with Avery and all this stuff, it isn't long before we end up seeing the Alpha Core and Yaira. Now, in regards to Yaira, she and Avery literally collide into each other. It's literally that they collide into each other. We don't get much information on Yaira. I'm guessing that, he's building it up to let us, debut her more later down as it goes along. But again, as I said, there are a little too many moving parts, because we also have the Alpha Core, we have Yaira, we have the excerpts, and we have what's going on with Darren Fantino, and then we also end up seeing Avery ends up encountering this other excerpt called Santwan or something. So, and he's like this man is built like a tank basically, and he ends up fighting with Avery, and he ends up getting him injured. He ends up in the hospital. Now, as I say, there are moving parts, but it's done in such a way to keep you interested in what's going on. For instance, Avery never explicitly says that he is an excerpt. He never says that he's an excerpt. We know that there are special beings out there called excerpt, but he never says that he's an excerpt. And when they try to examine him at the hospital to see if he has anything like that, there isn't any, but he does have certain abilities, like he's faster and stronger than most people. He also has a bracelet that apparently can't be removed by anybody else but him. Maybe we don't get an explanation on it, but the way it's done, it sets up to give you a mystery to who the man Avery Silman is, and you're interested to find out, because despite all the moving parts, you want to know who this person is, what it is going on with him. The comic itself comes off sort of like a kind of like a cross between a graphic novel and a comic that you would have gotten probably in the late 80s, early 90s. So, and that's actually a really good thing, because the way that it's actually told, it's told like an actual story. Yes, there are some action scenes. Yes, there are some fights and stuff. And it does look really good. Like I said, the artwork and thing looks really well done. So there is that there. But the story is what also gets to you. People will feel, because even I was getting a little bit hammered down by all the different moving parts. As I've said, you have different people. And when the story does start to focus again on Avery, you're wondering if there's being set up for some big payoff, and then you get to understand that, just the story is being paced out step by step as it's done, right? So it does set up for something really good, but it does leave you wondering what's going to happen next. We also get to find out that Altona, his sister, has a daughter. And I think the way that she is portrayed is actually really well done. She is an inquisitive child, and she does realize that that there is something special about Avery. She even mentions it to him, and he tells her that this can't try and keep it quiet and so. But she is done. I mean, normally they try to portray children as not knowing anything and just being stuff, but she does seem to know what's going on. I mean, she may not have a 100% idea of everything, but she does have some understanding of what's going on with it. We also get to find out that there are some people in the Florist Park area, some excerpts and things who have special abilities, and it sets up that that there is a vast criminal network going on there, even among the excerpts, as well as also a lot of political intrigue. It's clear that one thing that Eric July has done really well here is set up some parts to interconnect into something that Avery Silverman will get thrown into, whether he likes it or not. And that is actually really well done, because this is a problem a lot of comics have today, where they don't set up really well for anything. They just kind of expect you to accept what's going on, and that's it. So it is interesting to see how it is kind of interesting to try and imagine how all of these parts will eventually fit together, if they do, and what's going on. We also get introduced to some individuals at the end who are part of a rock band. I forget their name right now, sorry about it, who are part of a rock band, and it's clear that these people are not human either. They have some connection to this Norse mythology, the way that they may look. Another moving part set up in it. I was thinking when I saw that perhaps they should have been left for somewhere later down in the story, maybe like probably issue 3 or 4. He then could have introduced them. Again, Eric July was just a little too ambitious when it came to introducing things into this first issue of Isom. I know it's 96 pages, and clearly wanted to really set you up somewhere to understand how he's going to build this world going down the road. But again, as I say, probably just a little too ambitious at the start. Now there are a few other instances in this comic, things that go on, but I think I'm going to cover. I think I've covered the main prospects of what it is. The story is actually really interesting, and once you read it, you are interested to see what's going to happen in the second part of it. I'm not going to mention what happens at the end in case you haven't read it yet, and you want to. But I will say overall that the story itself does lead you to want to know what happens next, and there is a second and third book right now being worked on by the Ripperverse that will be coming out, because apparently this is a whole connected universe that they're going to build. They're going to introduce new characters and stuff. For those who have the Dokuman cards, they will, and they read it. As a little spoiler here, there is no Dokuman introduced in this first, in this Isom #1 first issue. But again, as I say, there are mysteries that he has done, that Eric July has laid down very well in this comic to let you build to that. It starts off small scale, citywide, but it does have enough intrigue to let you know that this is quickly going to build to something worldwide, and then eventually universe-wide. So this is a story that has been set up and done really well. I, for one, actually enjoyed this Isom. Like I said, there are a few issues that I did have. I did point out again a little too many. I think my main issue was a little too many moving parts, and at certain times the story did kind of seem like it was dragging, but not to the extent to make you not want to read anything about it. Because if it is like let's say one page had some had a setup to something, it actually did pay off on the next page. Another thing I will compliment on for this, there is not a whole bunch of endless chattering, talking with word bubbles filled to the brim, bursting with words. No. That is a problem that we get a lot with modern comics, where they just ramble on. No. Comics are a visual medium, and people want to see the visual effects of it, and this is done really good. Like I said, it feels like a comic from the early 90s, then I would say, setting up good stories, not too much overblown dialogue, just enough. If something could be said in one line, it is said in one line, it isn't dragged on. When Avery does go to meet Darren, and Darren is talking about, some of Avery's past, when he was in school and stuff, it did feel kind of weird to hear him kind of talking about that without any real setup as to Avery's past overall. But again, as I said, it wasn't wordy. It was done in such a way to let you know, listen, this is this, that is that. My final rating for Isom number 1, I will give Isom number 1 a 3.3 out of 5. It's a really good book. It's actually worth reading. It really is worth reading. Again, a little too ambitious with the many moving parts and stuff here and there, but not enough to throw you off. And it does make you interested in reading issue 2 and seeing how this whole universe that they're building is going to expand and move on. So, Isom number 1, I would say, is worth a read. It's really good. The story is really enjoyable. And for any creatives out there who are interested in doing their own, please feel free to create your own comic. Give it a shot. See what you can do. If you want somebody to review it and you want, just let me know, and you can send it to me. I will be happy to take a read and do a review for it. That's it for me here. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. Be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.